Some things never cease to amaze me. Sunrises, hitting a golf ball straight, and the overwhelming ignorance of the common person. Here's a thought. Use Form Bs to determine classification. This, in fact, is competitive balance. Season 8 of Some Coaches Podcast, where not everyone is funny or tells funny stories, but everyone has a story. Welcome to Some Coaches Podcast, Season 8, and today, after a week off, because we had technical difficulties and trying to get our busy schedules aligned, I'm joined, as always, on Sunday evenings to be released on Tuesday by Coach Ed Gaffca, the Executive Director of the Georgia Fired Football Coaches Association. Thanks for being on with me, Coach.
Happy to be back.
Well, Coach, we're going to start off with a subject that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and that is the job season and how we both go about getting the information and how we do what we do, because this past couple of weeks have been a firestorm of big jobs coming open in the state of Georgia, and how you and I present material and how we put things out there, and people getting butthurt about one thing or another and whatever. I'll just say that you and I have different ways of presenting our information that we find. I do initials, you put out names. Whatever, that's fine. That's what you do. I've done it the way I've done it forever. That's why I don't do it anymore. I let you guys, y'all have your fun. I'm old and I don't need to keep up with it. But the way you and I both acquire our information is exactly the same. And I think that most people think that you and I spend all day on the internet calling these people when the job's open and asking them who has applied. And that, no. That's not how it works. What happens is people tell us who has applied, people in the know, people that are on the board, people that are in the building, people that are leaving the building, people that see people drive up in the parking lot of the building. They want to reach out and they tell us what's going on. And then you do a lot of research that people don't realize that you do, including calling the actual people themselves about the jobs and the information. I never did that. I know who's interviewing. I put the initials and went from there. That's not to say that my way's right and your way's not. I'm just trying to lay it out there for people to understand what's going on. And I am sure that your philosophy of creating leverage is not at all by any means wrong. And people would be shocked and amazed at how a day in the life of Coach Ed during job season actually goes.
Yeah, and I think that you're 100% right. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? And to me, the thing that makes this unique, I believe that one of the most important things that in today's world that folks in the public sector don't typically have the they've never really experienced having leverage. They've never experienced, hey, I've got this job, or my name's being mentioned, or you're not appreciated in the eyes of admin a lot of times. There are some that are great admin. They're doing everything they can for you. Those are the people you want to work for and stay with. Encourage you to be where your feet are. But when it comes to any job that's open, anybody that may or may not be actually interested in it, the reality is any hot list that I put out, about, like I say, it's not that any of those people have actually applied. It's not that those coaches have any real interest whatsoever. What it is through conversations with people that have DM'd me that I know in the area that have said, hey, these are the people that would be really awesome to get. These are people we'd love to see get the job. And then outside of that, I sprinkle in a couple names that I've had conversations with that, again, they just want their name kind of circulated, right? And again, of all the hot lists or anytime I put names out there, I can count 11 to this point that they've sent me a DM and said, my superintendent called and said, hey, what do we need to do to keep you? And that's just based off a satirical account putting a name out there because they don't want to have to go through the job hunting process. They know how stressful it is. And again, you want to be a place where you're wanted. And any community or administration or board of education that is any way angry at a coach for being on a list anywhere is so removed from reality that it's hard to understand how they got to that position. Why would you not want to have somebody that everybody else wants? That's a good thing. Why, if your coach is not wanted and attracted for other people, then what do you really have? Do you even have a good coach? Do you have somebody that, really and truly you want? Maybe you do, but understand this. There's a reason why nobody's calling his phone. There's a reason why. And ultimately, I put names out there to, again, generate buzz for those people. Some people, I 1,000% put name out there because they've asked me. And I've got no problem doing that because I believe in helping coaches. But under no circumstance do I believe that putting their name out there is in some way unprofessional, in some way jeopardizing their job, because ultimately the ball's in your court. Anybody that I've put out there, my DM's open. You can say, hey, don't put my name out there. Okay, cool. I won't do it. Got no problem doing it. But again, I ask you, before you come in my DMs and start preaching to me about things or in my mentions about things about a specific coach, why don't you reach out to the coaches that are mentioned and say, hey, how's this doing? Have you gotten hit up about this? And when they say yes, and they say, man, we really don't want you to go, you know how great it is to feel wanted? You know how great it is to feel valued at the place that you pour your blood, sweat, and tears in? It's pretty damn awesome. So no, I'm not going to apologize for any of that. And when it comes to breaking any hire, the reality is I knew about the Rockmart deal well before it was released. But out of respect for the coaches there and their communication of what that plan looked like when they were telling the kids and everything, yeah, I didn't release it till team meeting. I mean, they had a board meeting the night before. Could have released it then. Didn't. So the reality is there's a lot of times where, yeah, we know about it. We're not putting it out there because people have reached out and said, hey, this is the plan. But if I have people from the front office of these schools calling me, DMing me, and saying, hey, just so you know, the so-and-so's here, they've accepted the job. What group of people in a school talk the most? The freaking front office ladies. If they know, the kids know, and now the kids are just waiting for you to say, hey, we got a team meeting. So understand that being first to say something, it's not even about being correct on any of those hot lists, right? Like, that's the reality. I'll be the first to tell you when, heck, if, there's a lot of times where, yeah, Rush Probst is on basically every single one because you know what? Every single person that reaches out to me about all these jobs mentions Rush Probst to me. And y'all know me by now. God, I hope it happens. But the reality that we all live in here is there's also a lot of names that I think are good names, best fits. There's people that I think should get a look. And I hope And by now, it seems like the ADs of these places do actually look and say, he's got most of them right. He's missing a few. And then guess what? I find out who those few are. When I update the list, you might see a few additions. So the reality is, it's not about sitting around and scouring the internet and making a bunch of calls. People reach out. They tell me what's going on. And then based on their information, if it's a job that's been filled, I 1000% don't go based off of one person. I will go and I will try to get people that I know that are in that community, in the board office, on the board of education, in the admin, or on the coaching staff, and say, hey, can you confirm this? Yes or no? Because I'm not going to just put something out that's not true when it comes to somebody's job. And at the end of the day, I don't have the same necessary evil that comes with being on TV. If the people at Score Atlanta want to throw names out because they're just piggybacking on something that I put out, that's on them. That's their own unprofessionalism, right? Like that's not for me to broadcast. Again, do they read off of BuzzFeed? Do they read off of The Onion all the time for their news as well? Because if they can't understand the difference in certain things, whether it's satire or true, I can't help them. So that's where I stand with a lot of this. I mean, job season's a busy season. A lot of information comes and you got to decipher through it. But ultimately, if we can accomplish one thing, my hope is that we give coaches leverage that have not had leverage in the past. And if you are an admin listening to this, understand that, especially if you're a superintendent or assistant superintendent or anybody that has got the super attached to their title, the difference in you and a coach or a teacher, they're on salary schedules. You get to negotiate your contract and your salary and what goes into your contract. It's kind of nice for a coach to have that same thing every now and again, even if it's just a couple $1,000s here, a couple $1,000s there. Maybe they install new lights for them every now and again. Maybe paint the field for them. But when we sit here and go back and forth about, well, it's just not right. You're putting these coaches in a bad spot. How? Because they get their phone blown up? Okay. Would you rather your phone not be ringing as a football coach? Because when the phone stops ringing, it means nobody wants you. And it's a lot better to be wanted and have leverage than not. You can do whatever you want with that leverage. If you want to say, no, that's a BS thing that he put out, fine, go ahead. Or you can say, I don't know what that guy's talking about. I'm happy here. Use it, I don't know, use it as an opportunity to Wolf of Wall Street that thing. Go in front of your team and say, hey, I'm not going anywhere. This is, I'm not, just scream it and rally around everybody and be like, no, this is where I want to be. This is my home. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Screw that guy. Maybe have a little bit of a bigger picture brain than, oh man, I'm going to have to answer to this. Answer to what? That you're wanting, you're a good football coach? Sorry, that's on me, guys. Sorry for mentioning that. But yeah, if you're too small of a thinker to understand the big picture there, or not understand how that could actually help you, then I can't. I don't know what else to do to assist you in this process. I think people, coach puts the initials on there. That's fine. I'm somebody that is so bad with initials at times that it's just easy for me to spell it out. So that's how I'm going to operate. And again, I've already had DMs tonight about, hey, I'm going to hear about this job before Friday. I'll let you know, and then I'll give you a thumbs up. I said, perfect. You're not going to see your name on shit until then. And because they asked me. So again, it's all about how you approach it. I've had a really great response from 99% of the coaches. I respect people who have a difference of opinion on it. That doesn't mean my opinion's right and yours is wrong. You're more welcome to have it. I just believe that when you are a coach, leverage has not been a thing that you've ever had, and in every other industry, it's a great freaking thing to have. So let's experience it. Let's put these people in an uncomfortable spot and make them show you the love you deserve.
Absolutely. I think that is a great philosophy. I don't have any problem with it personally. And I just wanted us to go out there today and tonight and let everybody know that this is kind of the seeing the man behind the curtain. How does all of this stuff go? Because I can guarantee you, most people think that we just know things or that we just constantly sit around and do that. No, I got other things to do, as you do as well, running the Georgia Fire Football Coaches Association as you do, to be chasing whatever. The bottom line is, if you don't want people to know, you might want to tell the people that you're interviewing with that if this gets out at all, I'm not coming, or I'm out. You can take me out of it. Because as Coach said, 95% of the time, if not more, it is coming from the building where the interviews are taking place. Because everybody wants to know and they want to be the first. And, you know, like the other thing, like Coach said, you know, if you got, say, Score Atlanta, they broadcast their TV show twice a day. Its TV medium is totally different situation than X satire account. They're not the same thing. They're couldn't be further from each other if they were on opposite ends of the planet. But anyway, with that being said, we'll roll out of that into the jobs that have come open since the last time we spoke. We got Charlton, East Jackson, Southwest Macon came open because he went to go take the McDonough job. Coach Dupree did. The West Side Macon job got filled by their defensive coordinator. We've had jobs filled. We've had jobs come open. The Appleton County job officially came open as Coach Pruitt officially took the Camden job since the last time we talked. Cook County is still open. A lot of the jobs that were open early, or some of the first ones open, are still, to this day, they're still open. And they should be wrapping up. Or if they aren't, I don't know what they're doing. They probably don't care that much. As Coach said, some places care more than others. And if you can't figure it out on your own, then don't be looking at me crazy at the clinic when you've been there a week and you start looking around at other job opportunities that come open. And that has already happened this job cycle as well. And again, leverage was used. Guy went behind closed doors with the superintendent and was able to get more money out of the situation. So it's not a bad thing at all. But as far as those jobs that are open, Rome was filled. Gainesville was filled. Grayson came open. Grayson was filled. And I'm going to say this about those type of places. You know, I don't make any bones about it. I'm not a Gainesville fan and how they operate and what they do. I'd be much more of a fan if they just came out and said, yeah, we do that. But we also win. But they won't. They don't. But with that being said, I will say this. I got a lot of respect for places like Gainesville and Grayson in the administrative process of hiring a coach when they can immediately, within a day, say, this is our guy, we're going after him, and then they go get him. I think there's a lot to be said for that. Instead of these long, drawn-out, do a 5-minute interview at Greene County like we've seen, that's a clown show. If you're going somewhere and they have immediately made the decision and they know what they're doing, it shows me that they've got a little bit of sense about themselves when it comes to hiring a head football coach. But, Coach, what do you think about some of these jobs that have come open?
Well, I'll harp on, I'll kind of start on East Jackson, up here in Northeast Georgia, where, it's definitely, I'd say, it's a little surprising just how many people reach out to me about the job, and the names that have shown interest in it. great football coaches that have either been successful elsewhere, are currently successful, or that they're seeing that Jackson County has it's the fastest growing county in the state and fourth in the country. But the thing that I've communicated to a lot of people is that growth is happening on the west side of the county. That's the influx from the Mill Creek, Gwinnett area into Brownston and Houston. That's why they're opening up Houston High School, not this fall, but the following. And why they're going to have 2,700 kids in that school this year. That growth has not reached Nicholson, Georgia. I doubt it will for the next 4 to 10 years. The reality is, it's a great school system. It's a great community. You're going to get paid well. You are in a region that doesn't have any boy dogs. You don't have some dominant team on paper. You have Oconee and Monroe, which I think both would be considered the favorites in that region. But you're not in a situation where, could you lose every game in the region? Sure. Could you win every game in the region? Sure. Like, both of those things can definitely happen. But, the biggest part is, Coach Pettis did an excellent job maximizing every single ounce of talent in that building. And it's a job where you're going to have to fight, scratch, and claw. And, if you have the ability to attract kids from Cedar Shoals, Clark Central, Commerce, and the neighboring counties, that would be a massive benefit to you. But ultimately, are you going to be able to go to a place and, I think what Coach Pettis was able to do is raise the expectation there, or like the floor was 0-10. Now the floor there is like 2-8, 3-7. And I think the absolute ceiling on the best year in that you could ever hope for is quarterfinals. And that's with a great bracket. That's with a great team. And I think that the median there's 5-5, and like 4-6 to 6-4 is probably where you need to get comfortable. And again, that's not a bad, especially when you know what they've came from. It's a good job. I wouldn't put it up there with, some of these jobs that some of these people are applying from, but I understand the appeal to a certain degree. I think that people are putting a lot of stuff on the fact that they think that, we could catch it at the right time. I don't know if this cycle's the one to do it. I think after this next coach is when to do it, because that's when the growth will happen. Because, like I said, nobody's moving their ass up to Nicholson right now. I mean, go look at the amount of land that's still available out there to develop and to build, and compared to the west side, it's polar opposite. So understand that so East Jackson's kind of different. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. It's a great athletic director, great administration, great superintendent, great everything. If you are good with the limitations there and understand those, and maybe you're able to overcome those by getting talent in, then hey, that job's for you, man. But if you're not okay with that, I'd say, don't waste people's time by just adding stacks to the resume. As for Charlton County, I think that Rich McWhorter hadn't been there in 6, 7, 8 years now, and they've gone through 3 head coaches now. I think maybe call him, who he's retired. Maybe give him a call and ask him his opinion on who you should hire, because you've got an AD who, God help him, thinks that he is God's gift to football, it appears. But I don't know if he knows, his ass from his hole in the ground. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's going to be a hire anytime soon. I think that everybody that is sitting here wondering when Fannin County is going to close, when's Cook going to close, when some of these that have been open since September, it feels like. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you, it should be a red flag when some of these places are still trying to hire a football coach 2.5 months after the season, 3 months after the season. Like, get your ducks in a row, figure it out, and hire a damn football coach. Because you're getting to that point at the end of January where you're going to have some people that are like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. So I think that we got to kind of hurry this process up a little bit if you're any of these that have been open for a while, and realize that, hey, we there's an opportunity to still get some people, but Cook should close by the end of the month. Fannin should close by the end of the week, and Greene County is still patiently waiting for more videos. So I really hope they reach out to me. I've been waiting with bated breath, seeing my DM request, and really hoping I get somebody from Greene County reaching out to me saying, stop picking on our school system. Guys, you did it to yourself. You did it to your damn self. So I can't help you.
They're not going to do that, Coach, because that would be admitting that their process is flawed. So that's not going to happen. I can almost guarantee that that's not going to happen. So, jobs are still open. There's still going to be a lot more come open. I think I saw that like Redan and some other one came open that's up there in around in that area that came open, and I was like, good Lord have mercy. Somebody is going to take every one of these jobs. That's one thing you'd be guaranteed, and I can't wait until all the dust settles, because I am sure that Coach Ed is going to have a rating system set up on who was the best hire. And as of right now, who knows? I don't know. I don't know who the best hire is. I don't know who's gonna be able to rub some crack magic on these programs and get them right. I mean, you got Zach Grage at Vidalia, you got Bill Stewart at Rome, you got Santavius Bryant went back to Gainesville. Coach Carswell takes over at Grayson. You got Dubose is at Bainbridge. I don't know. Who knows? I got no idea.
I'll tell you, Coach, I might even go one step further and rate the job process, the hiring process of this, to where, like, there's an elite tier. And like you mentioned, like, I give flowers where flowers are due, right? Like, so I give flowers to Gainesville and them saying, okay, the rock star, preacher cowboy rides away. We already have our backup plan, and it's, Santavius Bryant in a tuxedo walking in. So they had a plan in place, because obviously you can't rent that damn tux and get it sized and fit for you without a 3-day turnaround. So they knew that thing even before it was announced, before I put it out there. So I kudos to people for being efficient and knowing what they want, going and getting it. And anybody who asks me, why would Santavius Bryant leave a place like Grayson to go to Gainesville? Well, guys, at the end of the day, they put a 1 in front of his salary, number one. Number two, Grayson is not a good day job. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying. Number three, Grayson is a difficult place to coach day in, day out. If you don't take my word for it, take any coach that's been there, because ever since their first head coach, I want to say no coach has been there longer than 4 years, because it's just that if it were that good of a place, you'd have somebody want to stay. Jeff Herron repeatedly has said that is the worst experience he's had, and that dude went 15-0 and won a state championship and left. That's how miserable it was. So I wish Coach Carswell the best. He obviously knew what he was getting himself into. He knows it, and that might be comfort, and that might be great. And he might. So I hope all of that is good for him. But anybody who questions why Santavius Bryant went to Gainesville, just again, it's a city school. He no longer has to recruit against Gainesville, so he's about to get more kids, and they're going to be hell on wheels. He's a good football coach, and they've got great football coaches on that staff. So, again, anybody who thinks that they're not going to get kids, golly, I wish I woke up in that make-believe land that y'all wake up in every day, and you're surprised that the sun's out. You're surprised that something happens. Guys, the reality is open your eyes, realize it's ready-made, ready to go at Gainesville. They have a system in place. They know how to do it. They have the best damn counselors to get your ass eligible in the country. But just know that they're definitely not, I mean, and I'm sure we'll touch on it, they're definitely not in the good graces of the GHSA. So that's the only drawback.
And with that being said, they did make the news again in the past week or so, which it wouldn't have made a hill of beans who was ineligible. But I for one, was shocked and amazed that they played an ineligible person in a game. You know, because they're such upstanding, it's such a fine and upstanding protect the brotherhood group, and the Lord leads those children to come to school over there. Nobody DMs them. Nobody over there's got burner phones and burner accounts. None of that's going on. That everybody else is doing it. You know, so I for one personally was shocked that they had to self-report that they played an ineligible player against Rome and had to vacate that win. And, you know, the cynical me says that, well, then we probably just need to let Rome and Thomas County Central meet somewhere halfway and figure out who, let Thomas County Central boat race the next group from up north of I-20 that they're going to boat race again. But I'm not going to hammer on that too much. I'm going to let Coach discuss his take on, and he could care less. He's like me. It wouldn't have mattered. They could have shown up with all of Hall County to play that bunch. Rome could have showed up with all of Floyd County, and it wouldn't matter. They were going to get killed. That Gainesville was obviously the better team, but as has happened in the past, it gets out of hand, and you put some young kids in, or you put some kids in, and you're not really paying attention on the sideline. And Coach Ed actually has the greatest mindset to prevent this from happening in the future.
Well, it's like you said. Again, they could have played whoever. They could have, the game was already played. Obviously, Gainesville was better than Rome by 17 touchdowns, and Thomas County Central was better than Gainesville by 17 touchdowns. It doesn't really matter. My issue here just lies within if there's even a question, and I mean a question, that there is a kid that is potentially not eligible. Like, hey, guys, he moved in and at this cutoff date, we have his Form B approved, but he didn't meet the cutoff date, but I think he's good. The fact that you even need to say, I think, guys, we ain't giving his ass a travel bag. He's not even going to have a opportunity to go in that game. We're not talking about a regular season game. We're not talking about a, meaningless August game. We were talking about a semifinal game to go to the Dome, okay? And imagine if Gainesville beat Thomas County Central. And now they're no longer the state champions. That would be the punishment here. All because somebody didn't do the proper checks needed here. And ultimately, do they need to go back and review all the still shots from Langston Hughes and all the other playoff games? Because he's not supposed to play in any of the playoff games per what the GHSA said. So was he on the suspended list in the Brunswick game? Where's the cutoff here? So again, when I look at it, the thing that makes me physically ill about it is we've all been on staffs where, like, we've got a kid that may or may not be eligible. You know what we don't do? We don't let that dumbass put on a helmet. Because what happens? Some kid loses, some kid has to come out late, and we say, give me a body, any body. And you grab the first kid that can fog up a glass and say, go in, don't even care who it is. I don't need that kid being somebody who can't go out there. So I don't even give him his equipment. And it wasn't even a home game. We had to get his ass on the bus to Rome get dressed in the costumes, and go out there. I just can't imagine there wasn't one kid that didn't get to go on that might have been acceptable. I don't care if it's the last 40 seconds of the game. I don't care if it's any of that. What I care about is why in the hell you would even remotely risk it. That's what doesn't make sense to me, and from my point of view, that's what's most unexcusable here. It's not that, hey, hand up, it was bad communication between AD and the football staff. I could give a shit about that. If there was even a question, it should have been, hey, it's probably good that, y'all don't really need them, right? Yeah, probably not, because none of our kids are suspended anymore. We're probably good. I mean, I don't understand why we would even risk it. And I know that as attention to detail as I've been told that Josh Niblett is, I find it hard to believe that oversight would even be acceptable. As somebody who has checked that travel list before and said, hey, these are what these numbers are, this is da-da-da-da-da, you go down and you see that little Timmy, wait, why the shit's little Timmy on this thing? Yeah, he shouldn't be on it. He's not traveling with us to Rome because he's not even, if every single person were to get injured in the game, we don't even put his ass in the game because it would be illegal and it would jeopardize the game's integrity and all the other stuff. And this is where I find it just I get a lot of DMs from people who talk to me about basketball too, where they're like, hey, you need to mention something about basketball recruiting. Guys, basketball recruiting is like me bringing up that, plants grow when they get more water, right? Like, the reality is that's been happening since the dawn of time, since they were able to put the apple basket up there on the in the gymnasium for them to create the game of basketball. You know what they were doing? Recruiting somebody who was really tall to go and put the ball in the basket, right? So I could give a shit about it. Obviously, Wheeler has 1,000 basketball recruits. That's why they're number one in the country. But that also shows you the GHSA, who does not have a massive operating group, they have a very limited amount. They've stated it many a times. They have been going through still images from a game from 2 months ago to, again, they're letting Gainesville know we might have lost the battle, but we're not losing this war, and we're coming for your ass. And so again, I enjoy Petty. I really do. I didn't know the GHSA could, handle this level of petty. I'm going to give kudos where kudos are due. Hey, good on you guys. I think that's excellent. I also think that you should send a notice of intent to basically handle the minus of Josh Niblett's career record at Gainesville. Send that thing to his new forwarding address in Boulder, because I'm going to be sending him a fired coach's decal and a hey, appreciate you. Hope you. I know you'll miss me, and I'll miss you, because I'm sure he's. I'm sure he's thinking about us out there in Boulder right now.
Oh, there ain't no doubt. I mean, and let's point out too. Let's make sure that we're all on the same page here. When stuff like this happens, it's not the kids' fault. The kids don't know. They got no idea, and it segues right into our next subject and our last one for tonight. We're probably going to discuss, and that's college recruiting and transfers, whether or not they're at the high school level or the college level. My biggest problem with college kids is that everybody thinks that. It's okay. And they're like, oh, it ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. Oh, they can make money now. Well, yeah, they can if they're good. We've got kids entering a transfer portal on the last day at record numbers, and they don't have anywhere to go because they're getting incredibly bad advice. And, oh, they're just kids. No, they're not. They're over 18 years old. They can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, And they are well within their rights as adults to sign and enter into contractual obligations that the rest of us would be held to if we entered into such contractual obligations. Now, with that being said, I'll say this. Some of these high school kids that are transferring and they're going ahead and putting it on X or their social media or Instagram or whatever, that's a problem. When you've got Instagram going around, IGs going around where it's a fad now for them to go, hey, we just won a state championship. Yes, we accept transfers. Come win another one with us. And there's 4 or 5 different high schools in the state of Georgia that they're doing this on, and we think that that's okay. That's a problem. And if you don't think it's a problem, then you are the problem. There's no place for it in the high school game. And as far as the college kids go, they're getting really bad advice. They're trying to chase a dollar that may or may not be there. They're seeing this jealousy, seeing somebody else get paid, and they're not getting paid. And it's people in their camp overvaluing their worth to their program as they stand on this date, not as they may be developed. Like if you're a professional baseball player, for instance, and you're in the minor leagues and where you get drafted in a draft, they draft on potential because they're going to develop you. There are very few people that go straight to the show. There's very few people in college that can go straight onto the grass as a freshman. Those people get paid a lot of money now. Everybody else is probably getting signed and chosen off of potential. And I don't think these people understand that. They just know that little Johnny was the greatest player to ever. He was the Booby Miles of whatever little town they came from. So he should be getting paid like everybody else so he can take care of his family or whatever. Their whole dreams and aspirations for this child's future was not the fact that they would receive a college education and better themselves. It was that they would make all this money and have a 2% chance of making it to the league where they would make even more money.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of thing, right? Like we started this conversation talking about leverage, and these kids perceive leverage at the college level, differently than what's in the reality of kind of their situation. Whenever you have a market saturated with a bunch of similar guys that are all at different skill levels and needs, the benefit of being an offensive lineman is there's 5 of them out there every play. So, that means that there is there's more of there's more spots to take. So therefore you have an opportunity to maybe increase your pay, but also because there's more of those, you're also not kind of as rare to find. So your pay is not going to be as good. Then you go to quarterbacks where, again, it's the hardest position to be recruited at, number one. Number two, to find the right guy, they're going to pay whatever the perceived price is. So when you talk about this transfer portal in college, and then you start talking about transfers in high school, every single coach listening to this in high school knows that if they were to look at their roster right now, they'd have a ideal situation where they're like, okay, we need to figure out what our biggest needs are. What did we graduate? What would we need to address? I believe Gainesville's done an excellent job of that in the last couple of years of addressing their needs in the offseason, and that's why they acquire certain talent. Again, not knocking it, but that's the reality. If you need something, go get it. But again, don't DM kids, but the theory is still the same. What is the leverage that kid now has who is getting reached out to? Well, again, in high school, that kid doesn't have a lot of leverage. That kid has no perceived leverage. There is no market value for that. That's kind of normal. You can make up one and you can say, well, I heard so and so is getting this. And that's hearsay. I don't even pretend to honor it. But whenever you start talking about these kids that are going from great program to great program, that might be a bona fide move. It also might be another situation where it's like, hey, do you feel like you're getting recruited better at this place or this place? We know for a fact we can get you answers here, and you're going to play higher level competition, yada yada yada. And again, so the perceived leverage in that situation is obviously with the bigger school. That Carrollton and Benedictine is a great example. It's a very public example of a high level player transferring from Benedictine to Carrollton. Benedictine just finished second. Carrollton just finished second. So what in what world would you think somebody would need to go from that place to Carrollton? Well, same reason why that same player was getting trained privately in Atlanta when they go to Benedictine. Tell me they don't have personal trainers, down in that area. They do. But again, it's more about, hey, look, all the eyeballs are up here. Nobody's going to go down to Benedictine to watch you. Then you start crafting the narrative. What I'm against is stop putting shit on social media for God and everybody. The kids aren't the ones that are to blame here. It's the adults. Anybody who says, well, you're putting kids on blast. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because unlike you, I am not sitting here giving the kid the responsibility here of making that decision. Y'all think a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid is making a decision to move across the state without his parents' permission, without any, because, and don't get me wrong, we can go off on a tangent on how shitty parents are at times. But the reality here is I still blame the adults that are saying, yes, we should pick up and uproot our life to go and chase this dream of high school football glory at insert, place that recruited me here. Be the adult and tell them, hey, we can go there. You're not promised anything. You're not da-da-da, whatever. They did get, mommy, daddy a job at the insert place here. But the reality is it's not about the kid is excited to go to another place. Great. You know what? That kid's also going to be excited to go to damn Disneyland. So let's pump the brakes on us bullying a kid. Bullshit. I'm not. And that kid, good for him. I hope he has a mountain of success. But what we do need to actually address, the elephant in the room here, is the fact that it's not the kid's. The kid is not making the choice. That's asinine. If you believe that in your soul, go and ask a normal 16-year-old. Put two choices in front of them, ask them which they prefer, come back an hour later, ask them again, and tell me if the choice is different. And if it's a teenage boy, okay, give them two choices and then put a pretty girl by the one they didn't choose and ask them again. And tell me which one they pick. It's not hard. Like that's the thing that makes you're manipulating a kid, number one, and you're giving them this perceived, oh, they're making a big boy decision. Bullshit. You are the adult. Make the decision. You've okayed it. You've now said, yes, you can now abandon your team and go to another team for some perceived chasing of greatness. Just, get over yourself and realize that you're putting the kid in a spot that ultimately, whenever there's some kids that transfer 3 more times, I don't know, the GHS, they put a rule in to limit that, but you're putting these kids in a position now, more than ever, to not be on college's radars because they see somebody who, okay, they've now transferred 3 times. Why'd they do that? What was the reasoning? And unless it says, oh, dad has a military background and he gets moved around, guess what, guys? They're going to look at that and say, well, that's a red flag because we can't keep having these transfer portal issues that we've had. Let's find somebody that'll actually stay. So, again, it's asinine to sit there and think that anytime we call attention to it, it's putting the kid on blast. No, never putting a kid on blast. It's a kid. It's a freaking kid. That should show you that no, it's not the kid's fault on this. We hold, I think kids should be held accountable. But when it's an adult decision that's being made, let's not put the blame on the kid. And so that's my drawn out opinion of it.
I couldn't agree more, Coach. There's too many times that, when we talk about holding kids accountable, we're talking about specific behaviors. They didn't act right. They need to do this. They need to do that. We're talking about, moving a child from a school to a school. An adult's making that decision, and there's an adult on the other end that's facilitating that and initiating that 99.9% of the time. There is the small percentage that, people move. I get that happens. But let's not kid ourselves. The parents that are moving are shopping that kid around if he's an athlete. If he's not, they could care less. Just send me to the school that's got the least amount of discipline problems and the highest test scores, and we're good. That's generally how that goes. And with that being said, that wraps up this week. I know Coach will probably want to speak a little bit about matchup guys before we go.
Yeah, no, they're busy growing. They've met with some of the bigger school systems, and I know that they are actively working. They've spread to Texas. They're spreading all over, and it's absolutely free. Whether you're a football coach, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball, any of it, it's an incredible tool created by coaches here in the state of Georgia, and they just wanted to find a way to assist you in scheduling needs, whether it's in the summer, 7-on-7s, padded camps, anything of any sort. Go on there, put your scheduling needs in there, and it can be as serious or as not serious. If you want to be like, hey, we're practicing for a 7-on-7 championship, great, put it in there. Or hey, it's basically Pass Skelly with a few teams. Come and let's get some work. Put it in there. Find the right people for you, and they're great folks. So please do everything you can to reach out to them. It's at Matchup USA on X, and again, go sign up for free and have your AD take a look at it, because that's going to take away significant headache from all the coaches and allow you guys to get back doing what you love doing.
Well, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with me and Coach Ed discussing the job market, what's going on with that after a week off. This Thursday, I'll have Lincoln County head football coach Lee Homskis as our guest. Enjoyed the time with you, Coach. I'm glad everybody that tuned in. And remember, it's just satire.